mixed trade day is expected on the local index after last week's volatile session. The JSE ended marginally firmer on Friday, in line with global markets, but is still down by 2.13% for the week and 5.5% so far this year. The rand was back above the 19 rand level amid a firmer dollar. Simon Brown, Justonelap founder, joins us now for a market review of the latest business news. Simon, a very good morning to you. Thank you for your time. Perhaps start us off with an overview of how the markets are faring in early trade ahead of the slew of economic data expected this week.
Morning, Impru, and of course the big data this week is MPC on Thursday. We've also got European Central Bank, and we're continuing red. You mentioned in your intro there, it's been a rough January so far for our market. The overall market down just over 0.5%, financials off a third, industrials dragging us lower, 1% down, resources just over 1/10 on the way down. Currency weaker across the board, rand 19.10 against the US dollar, 24.26 against sterling, and 20.82 against the euro. Commodity front, gold 2,043, Brent a little bit weaker, 78.20, platinum 904, and palladium 936.5 per dollar.
Now, oil prices fell for a second day as economic headwinds pressured the global oil demand outlook. What's driving moves in that space?
I think you to a degree you've hit it there. It is those economic headwinds and uncertainty. But, the theory is rate cuts will start happening this year, not this week, but maybe March, probably by mid-year. But there's still a lot out there. The idea around a recession in the US is not completely off the table. We've seen weak data out of China. We've seen weak data out of Europe. We've also got a weird thing that's happened over the last couple of years, and I was digging into it over the weekend, and that's US shale production, which is ultimately oil concentrate and the like. That has absolutely boomed to some reports saying maybe as high as 20 million barrels a day. World only uses about 100 million barrels a day, so they've increased US production, well offsetting OPEC plus attempts at getting the oil price higher with their production cuts, most notably from Saudi Arabia and a little bit from Russia as well.
South 32's quarterly report for December 2023 is out. What are those numbers looking like?
So the numbers are a bit of a mixed bag. What we see is copper and coal having some challenges. Some of it was circumstances where they had shut down production to upgrade or repair sort of your maintenance and the like. So a bit of pressure there, but the other commodities doing really well. Aluminium setting records in that regard. Zinc, the sort of what we call the non-precious, the industrials doing really, really well. The market a little bit disappointed, and I think particularly in the copper side, there's some disappointment coming through. Stock trading down 2% this morning as we speak.
So on the other end, SARS has failed in its attempt to recoup about 1 billion rand from state-owned oil company Petro SA. What do those specs look like, the specs of that case? What's happening in that space?
Yeah, so we spoke around BP last week with your colleague, and this week that was still early stages. This is not the conclusion. What's happening here is Petro SA is essentially exporting diesel and fuel, which means they can claim back all sorts, VAT, but there's a bunch else that they can claim that sits in the price that we as a retailer pay, the fuel levy, for example. Now, they'd had an agreement with SARS that they could certainly doing this. They're exporting to frontline states, most notably Botswana, and then suddenly period 2015 to 2017, SARS came back and said, hang on, you've been claiming and receiving these rebates back to you and the VAT, but we think it was wrong. We want that billion rand that you've ultimately benefited by. We want to claim that. That includes monies paid, that's penalties and the like as well. But the court said, not a chance, that this was legit, that Petro SA had done all the legal requirements, including getting SARS permission ahead of the process, and that SARS doesn't have a claim for the billion rand.
Sure. Interesting development. Thank you so much for your time. Perhaps let's leave it there for now. Justonelap founder Simon Brown giving us a sense of the latest market updates and the latest in the world of business.